She's an award-winning writer, a hunting guide, archery and rifle instructor, keynote speaker, and all-around outdoors woman who encourages you to get outside, hunt, fish, shoot, and savor all that life has to offer. And now, here's your host, Mia Anstine.
Well, hey, hi, hello. I'm so happy to be visiting with you again. Welcome to the show. If you've been here before, then I really appreciate you coming back as a return listener. And if it's your first time here, I hope that you enjoy the show and that you learn something today. As we get going today, I have to say that it is International Women's Day. And so that means that we need to honor women, and we probably should just honor all people on all days. But you know, there are so many days now that are slated, and yet it's actually kind of hard to keep track of. But the Day of the Woman is this day, and so I've been saving this episode. It's actually one that I recorded while I was in Nashville at the Safari Club International Convention, and that is SCI, which I mention quite often on the show because I do a lot of volunteering for the organization. But while I was there, I learned that a woman that I had met in Washington, D.C. was going to be at the conference and also was going to be receiving an award. And I was so excited because when I met this woman, I was just in awe because she is an icon, I would say. She is a legislator. She's a senator, a U.S. senator, which is why I met her in D.C., and I met her along with the other women that I was traveling with that are of the DC Project. And to backpedal a little bit on that, there are some other women that we should probably give shout outs to, and that is those women that are working hard to fight to save our Second Amendment freedoms. Now, those freedoms we have heard over the years that they could never be taken away, but I assure you, there are many people that are working hard to strip you of those freedoms, and it's been taken chunk by chunk. Today in Colorado, there are several gun legislation bills that are being heard. And this is why elections matter, because what has happened in Colorado is there is a large number of people that are our legislators that do not understand firearms, and they have very liberal tendencies, and so we're severely outnumbered. And what has happened this year is that we're not able to defeat a lot of these bills, and what we're having to do is amend. And what that means is we need to encourage them to rewrite the wording of the bill so it's just not that bad. Now, how sad is that? Yeah, it's very sad. And here on International Women's Day, I must say that some women that are icons that I looked up to as a child, they were gun-toting women. I mean, they knew how to wield a firearm, they knew self-defense, they were empowered, they were fierce, and they were just amazing, independent, empowered women. So that's something that I think as we're looking to this issue, we do need to realize that firearm is a great equalizer because, as you know, if you've met me or if you've been listening to the podcast, I'm a little woman. I'm not huge. However, I do know how to maneuver my body, and I do know how to do some self-defense, but I will not say that I could overpower a 225-pound muscle-bound man because, quite frankly, it's just not equal. Whereas if I have a firearm on my person for self-defense, I do have that. It gives me confidence. It gives me a sense of security. And if somebody were to threaten my life, I know I have it there. And it's something that we always hope that we will never have to use. And quite frankly, I've never had to use it. So thank goodness for that. But it is something that I train with often. It's something that I encourage others to train with. And I'm a firearms instructor. So safety is our top priority. When we're talking about the Second Amendment, I have to remind people that the Second Amendment is not about hunting. And we do talk about a lot of hunting on this podcast. I know it's supposed to be hunting, fishing, shooting, blah, blah, blah. Seems like everybody who wants to come on the show, they like hunting. So I do have that tendency. I will preface this with, we do have some angling stuff coming up, and hopefully y'all will like that as well. But if you have ideas for topics, if you have questions about any of the episodes or this episode, please reach out to me. You can email me. The email address is contact@miaanstine.com, or you can reach out to me on social media. And I mentioned in the past episode that I'm having difficulty on Facebook. Here's the follow-up. I'm still having difficulty. I do think it may have something to do with my browser. However, I cannot attempt these logins too often, or I'm banned for overuse, or there's a certain word, I don't know, something about violating procedures, or I don't know what it is. But anyway, if I use it too often, they lock me out, and then I can't try again for a day or two. So don't message me this week on Facebook unless you're listening to this episode down the road. Well, then by all means, hopefully I'll be back in and you can message me there. But anyways, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and a lot of the other offshoot social media places. You can message me or comment on my posts over there as well. And so, without further ado, I want to share this wonderful, self-sufficient, empowered woman, and hopefully you will learn something from her. And I hope you enjoy this International Day of the Woman episode. Stay tuned.
This winter, stay warm from head to toe with WSI Sports' heater gear layers. Use Leah's affiliate code, LLCO10, at WSISports.com and get 10% off your order. All products are proudly made in the USA. WSI Sports is bringing back pride in American-made clothing. That code, once again, LLCO10 for 10% off at WSISports.com.
Well, hey, hello. Hi, Senator. It's great to see you. Thank you so much for taking a minute to stop and visit with us. I hope you're enjoying the show. And I just really wanted to share you and your inspiration with my audience. So I hope you will say hello and let them know who you are.
Well, I am Cindy Hyde-Smith, and I am the U.S. Senator from the great state of Mississippi, and just having a great time here at SCI. This is my first national convention
Awesome.
to come to. So Nashville being so close by, we actually did drive in yesterday. And I hope it's not my last one, because this has really, really been a great time.
Awesome. And I think that's so wonderful that you did make the trip up here. You also came for a very special event. Do you want to tell us what you were awarded with this week here in Nashville from SCI?
Well, SCI was so kind and gracious, and they named me their Legislator of the Year. I think they like my position on the Second Amendment and on gun rights. And, we're hunters, always have been. And it just takes someone in the U.S. Senate that's got this background that can really defend our way of life, our freedom, and our right to hunt big game, small game, whatever we want to hunt.
Exactly. And I'm so thankful that you're there. My senators are not as level-minded as you, in my opinion. So I'm from Colorado, and so you would know who my senators are. But
oh, yes.
For listeners, I try to encourage them to be more active in advocacy and standing up for our traditions and what we do. Do you have any suggestions on how they could help you or help their legislators during the year?
I'll tell you, elections have consequences.
Yes.
And we have to turn out the voters that support mine and your way of thinking. I mean, Colorado is a huge hunting state.
Yes.
My husband has hunted Colorado for the last 35 years. And when I think of the misrepresentation there that is lacking when we did lose Cory Gardner, who was an excellent congressman from Colorado, we just have to get out and support those. And it takes work, it takes time, it takes money, but get involved, get engaged, because it doesn't just happen on its own. So you and I agree on so many things, but we live in the greatest country on planet Earth.
Yes.
And it became great because it was founded on the right to own land and the right to freedom of religion. And, we do have people out there, especially in Mississippi. They hunt, they eat what they kill, they fill their freezers full of it. And it is truly a way of life, but it's an honorable way of life, and it's got to be protected.
Yes.
As you well know, we've got folks in Washington, D.C. that think you should not even own a gun.
Right.
And just so foreign, that's not what our forefathers founded this country on, and we need to be the defender.
Awesome. I agree with you 100% and beyond. When you grew up, did you grow up with a hunting family, or did you marry into a hunting family? Tell us a little about that.
Oh, no. I had a .410 shotgun. I think probably for my 10th birthday, and I used to go squirrel hunting with that. And, my dad was a hunter. I'm not the biggest hunter in the family. My daughter is definitely the biggest hunter in the family. But my husband is a big game hunter. And, but I am the strongest lawmaker in the family. Mm-hmm. So I do what they do so they can do what they want to do.
That is a great point.
And, and I do love it. I love a wing shot. I love to dove hunt. Time is so limited. But opening day of dove season in Mississippi, I have a pretty sore shoulder that night.
Oh, okay.
But all the hunters have a big breakfast to enjoy when they come out of the field because I make sure of that. But my daughter was recognized by SCI many years ago. She's 24 now. She's in vet school. She wants to do large animals. But at 11 years old, she shot a red stag that had escaped from a high fence and was appearing on everybody's game camera in Mississippi. At 11 years old, that child got up that morning and she said, "Mom, these are the clothes that I'm going to have on when I kill it." And Game and Fish had, they had talked about sending a helicopter down because they were, obviously concerned about, a lot of diseases and chronic waste. And I called him and I said, "Call the helicopter off." And Michael just dropped it at 150 yards with a 7mm 08.
Oh, nice. That's a great caliber, all around caliber. That's a tip for the listeners. If you're looking for a starter and it will work even if you've been a long time hunter, great caliber.
Yep. She graduated a little up from that, but at 11 years old, it did the job. And I'm just so honored to be able to be in the position to serve in the U.S. Senate, that I can go and defend the rights of hunters and the rights of those who want personal protection. The Second Amendment is the Second Amendment.
Yes.
And I will never forget what my job is.
I appreciate that so much. What led you to want to become a legislator? Did you work your way up the ranks at local level and now you're in the federal level? What happened there?
Well, in 1999, I decided that the senator that I had in the local state senate did not represent me. And he had been there for 20 years. Wasn't a lot of women running for office in 1999. I mean, there were several, but it still wasn't a lot. And I qualified to run for the state senate and took on a 20-year incumbent. My daughter was 5 weeks old when I qualified to run. She was 5 weeks old. And my husband always said there's 1.5 people that thought we could do it, and that was all of her and half of me. But we were successful, and we beat the incumbent, and I stayed in the state senate for 12 years, 3 4-year terms, and then I ran for statewide office. And going back to the female thing, I ran for Commissioner of Agriculture. And we had never had a woman Commissioner of Agriculture. And I was chairman of Ag in the state senate because we're ranchers. We raise beef cattle, and we have a live cattle auction every week of our lives. And I was successful as the chairman of agriculture in the state senate. And I was really encouraged to do that because I thought, I don't know if Mississippi's ready for a woman ag commissioner, maybe secretary of state or state treasurer. But we stepped out. And I easily won that election and was elected twice. And then the governor came to me and appointed me to the U.S. Senate. And I'll be honest with you, Mia, I told him no at first.
Okay.
But so glad that I said yes. And I had to run to finish out my predecessor's term. and then run back to back for my own 6-year term. So we have worked our way to get here, but could not be more honored to be here.
Amazing. I'm so impressed by your story. That's like, I'm kind of speechless because I did not know that with your background. And I'd like
that's it.
Totally
I'm a real
speechless.
cowgirl.
Yeah, and so I have cattle as well. So for those of you listening, when we've talked about cattle, that's something that in our state of Colorado we have ag
no
issues
doubt.
and whatnot.
A lot of water issues.
Oh gosh, water is a constant battle. And so on the federal level, are you part of any of the committees that are working on the Western water, or is that pretty much the Western senators that are working on the water issues in the United States?
Well, I'm on the ag committee, but I'm also on the energy committee as well.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, we're in a pretty good position. And, I'm just always conscious of how precious water is in your state. I live in Mississippi. Our annual rainfall is 55 inches a year. Mm-hmm. And so we're Mississippi River. Normally, we have a lot of water. We obviously have droughts and we have those dry spells, but I think nothing like your state has and out west that you experience that. So very conscious of that.
Yeah. Is there any suggestions on the water of what we as citizens, I think a lot of people that I meet with, they just sit back and they're like, well, California's trying to take our water, or Utah and Arizona are trying to take our water. What should we be doing on the front lines where we're at to help protect our state?
Well, again, getting involved.
Just get involved.
I've always wondered why we don't pipeline water. Mm-hmm. We do petroleum. We do everything else. Why don't we pipeline water?
Some water.
Yeah.
And that maybe come down to funding, which you know more about the funding than I, but I can't imagine what the cost of that is going to be.
It's a way to get it there.
Yes.
And it's according to how precious the product is, of whether the cost is well spent.
Right. And so already in California, there are pipelines, and there are wonderful museums in San Diego and other places that show the huge aqueducts that are underground. But that is definitely a way that we can maneuver some more water and help support all the citizens of the country, which is very important. And as far as going back to your hunting and whatnot, and wing shooting, do you have a favorite recipe when you guys go on the dove hunts? And
we just do the normal, wrap it in bacon, put a little olive oil on it, put a jalapeno on it, and put it on the grill.
Simple and tasty.
Yeah, just simple and good.
Yeah. Do you look at wild game and on menus and stuff like that for health reasons or anything, or tradition primarily?
Well, in the South, we like to eat, and we like to eat things that are good, and we like to cook. And so we want it tender. So, we just look for good food. And it is pretty unique to see bison on a menu or something and to give it a try.
Okay.
But, my husband's always been an elk hunter. So we've normally had elk in our freezer. So, we just try a little bit of all of it.
Yeah, great thing to do. I always suggest if you've never had it, try it. You
absolutely.
may like it. If you don't like it, try something else because they may not have cooked it well.
If you don't like it, give it to me.
There you go. If I'm headed to Mississippi, what kind of things should I do when I go to visit?
Mississippi.
My husband's aunt lives there, and we're headed to visit her. And
where does she live?
She lives down in D'Iberville.
Oh, yeah, on the Gulf Coast.
Yeah.
We've got great seafood. We've got wild game, but we've got great seafood on the Gulf Coast. We have wonderful duck hunting in the Delta. We have white-tailed deer hunting. And just about anything you want down there. But the Gulf Coast is wonderful. D'Iberville is a great place. And I'm sure you've probably been there several times.
No, I haven't. That's why I'm asking you.
You've never been.
What am I going to do when I go?
Well, we have gaming. There's great casinos, but you will not run short of good food.
Okay. Well, then I will put the menu as top priority when I go there. Actually, here in Nashville, that's been the food, because coming to the South, if you get grits or shrimp in Colorado, somebody the first day, they said, "Oh, you're being brave." And I said, No. This is what you order when you're here. And it's so good.
That's it. So I'm betting you have a wonderful time, but please let me know how it turns out.
I will let you know. And thank you so much for making the time to visit with me. I really do appreciate it. And I really do, honestly, I just admire everything that you've done. And I think that for my listeners, if you will look up the senator online, I'll put links to her office in the show notes, but you definitely definitely need to check her out. She's a very respectable woman who you just could learn so much from, and you just definitely need to pay attention to not your own legislators, but others as well.
Well, I just want to encourage women to step up. It is okay that if you love to hunt, I want to help you do that. My daughter, on her very first Christmas, she got a lifetime hunting license. So
very cool.
For her very first Christmas. So I just encourage that. It's a fun sport, and women are usually a better shot than men.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again. I appreciate you taking the time. It's wonderful to see you.
Thank you so much.
And I'll see you in May, probably.
For the love of the outdoors, open spaces, and mountains, shop www.mia.limited/one. The Mac Outdoors Mountains Are Calling series of apparel is perfect for you or your loved ones. Support the channel and shop now. www.mia.limited/one.
Well, thank you for joining us for International Women's Day with Mac Outdoors and Mia Anstine. I hope you enjoyed the show, and if you did, think about sharing this episode or any other episode that you liked. Share that with one of your friends or a family member or somebody who would be inspired or maybe just needs to learn something new. I would certainly appreciate that, and hopefully they would too. Until next time, have a great one. Bye.
Hey, this is Lloyd Bailey, the Armed Lutheran, host of the Armed Lutheran Radio podcast, reminding you that the podcast you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. Check out all the great content at selfdefenseradio.net.